I'm in Zurich. It's here at the Federal Institute of Technology that an engineer named Brad Kratachvil is making some of the world's most sophisticated miniature robots, including a microbot the size of a flea that could one day keep you from going blind.
This is where we actually make the micro-robots.
How small is a microbot?
The micro-robots are between 1 micrometer and 1 millimeter in size. Just to give you a sense of scale, human hair, on average, is around 150 microns.
The diameter of a human
Exactly.
hair? Oh, wow. Brad is building many different kinds of miniature robots, just trying to figure out how to propel and power them. But getting energy into these microbots isn't easy.
One of the major challenges of microrobotics in general is how to power these things. Storing power when you get very small becomes very difficult. If you think about animals, the smaller the animal gets, the more often it has to eat. An insect has to eat more frequently than a large animal like an elephant.
Because it can't store that energy.
Exactly.
No one's been able to make microbots that can power themselves inside the human body. So Brad and his colleagues in Zurich tried a different approach. They decided to power their microbots with magnets.
Magnetics was the only technology which could really deliver the amount of control and the amount of force generation that we needed. If you take a look down here, you can
Sure.
actually see the device moving.
Oh, wow.
This robot harvests magnetic energy and then generates the propulsive force.
It looks like it's kind of the shape of a spring.
Well, when we were looking at effective ways to make microrobots move, we looked to nature for inspiration. And what we found is that bacteria have a really nice shape for generating propulsive force. What happens...
kind of a tail, right?
Exactly. So what we did is we built a system that could mimic that.
It looks like it's swimming, but of course that's you moving it.
Yes.
That is amazing.
So the way we can steer this is by changing the axis that the magnetic field rotates around.
This is so cool. Can I drive it?
Steer it left. More.
More?
Yes.
Uh-oh. Okay, you take over. It's disappearing off the screen.
So Joanne might not be a NASCAR superstar when it comes to driving microbots, but the ones she's found are pretty impressive. That said, the microbot she's about to meet puts them all to shame.
Making miniature robots move is no easy task. But these scientists in Zurich have figured out a way to do that using magnets. The next step is getting them to actually do something. So now I'm about to meet a microbot with a jaw-dropping mission to keep you from going blind.
So this is where we keep the Octomag. The idea is that current ophthalmic surgery procedures are fairly invasive. So what we're trying to do is build a device which can manipulate a micro-robot within the eye to then do some of the surgical tasks.
More than 4 million Americans are visually impaired. In some patients with severe vision disorders, there can be bleeding in the back of the eye, scar tissue can form on the retina, or the retina can even detach. If left unchecked, these conditions can cause you to lose your sight completely, but the operations to fix them are so difficult that only about 1,000 doctors in America are licensed to perform them.
The tricky part about these surgeries is that they require very, very high precision by the surgeons. So even slight tremor in the hand of the surgeon can mean the difference between vision and blindness in people.
These are delicate operations, and they only happen in conjunction with a highly invasive procedure called a vitrectomy.
A vitrectomy is where they remove the clear part of your eye, the vitreous. They have to have multiple ports into your eye, so multiple holes. And with this, then they will go in and use a tool to then kind of chop up the vitreous and then suck it out.
Wow. Okay, that's not good. Octomag is designed to make this procedure a thing of the past. I'd love to see how it works.
So what you're seeing here is a model eye, and we
Yes.
have a small micro-robot injected into this. This robot is roughly the size of a flea. And this is a similar view to what ophthalmic surgeons see as they do the different procedures. The device would be introduced with a small injection, so you don't actually have to have stitches. The device would then be steered magnetically using the feedback looking through the camera, and then the device is removed in the same way it was introduced.
Would it one day replace the typical procedures altogether?
One of the major hopes and goals of working on microrobotic technology like this is that we can really help to change the way surgery is performed.
The fact that you can put this in the eye, move it around and get it back out again, I think is really quite remarkable. I'm going to give it back to you because you could lose that really easily.
There's plenty more where that came from. 10 years ago, a lot of the microrobotics field didn't even exist. So we're just now getting much better at controlling devices at these scales. So who knows what's going to happen in the next 10 years.
I'm impressed with Brad's microbot, but it's got some issues. If you have a microbot that you're putting in somebody's eye, could you pull that little magnetic microbot around with a couple of magnets? Sure. If I handed you a little magnet and I handed you a piece of metal and you're trying to figure out, is that metal magnetic or not? You take the magnet closer, it's not a magnet, it's not a magnet, it's not a magnet, it's not a magnet, bam, it's a magnet. You can make a very strong magnetic field over a very short distance. But once you start making the distances fairly large, it's very, very hard to maintain and control a strong magnetic field. If you take that microbot and you put it in an artery where blood is really being pushed at high pressure, at high velocity, it would be like the difference between paddling around in a placid pool of water and going over Niagara Falls. So far, we've seen miniature robots powered by magnets, including one that could end up performing the world's most sophisticated eye surgeries. But none of these microbots can operate inside the bloodstream. If they could, it would be a huge improvement in clinical medicine. I'm in Montreal, where they're building microbots that can move through your body and maybe one day cure it of cancer. They're created by grad student Evan Schechter and his visionary professor, Dr. Sylvain Martel.
Welcome, Montreal.
Good to be here. Tell me about this terrific place.
This is the largest engineering school in province of Quebec.
Fantastic. And what are you working on?
We're developing what we call microbots. Instead of sending drugs everywhere into the body, we can encapsulate the drug in those microbots and deliver the drug exactly where we want with minimum side effect for the patient.
And how far have you gotten?
Pretty far, yeah, pretty far. So let's
Fantastic.
show you
Let's go look.
Yeah, sure. Come meet me.
Sylvain's microbots are 30 times smaller than the ones we saw in Zurich. Their purpose? To deliver chemotherapy exactly where it needs to go. 500,000 Americans die every year from cancer, and that includes the ones that are being treated. Right now, when you take a pill or get an injection of chemotherapy, it goes everywhere. It's like you can go out in your lawn and say, it's terrible, I got a lot of weeds. Well, you could spray it with weed killer called gasoline. It'll kill the weeds. It'll kill your lawn, too.
In a lot of ways, it's toxic. It's poison to your body. So if we bring the chemotherapy right to the tumor cells, then what we can do is we can give a very high dose to the tumor while sparing the rest of the body.
It's a pretty exciting proposition. So what these guys want to do is make a microbot that travels through the body, arrives at a cancerous tumor, and destroys it without harming anything else. That's not so simple. The first problem is, how would the microbot find the tumor?
It gets a bit complicated because they need to be able to navigate in a maze of blood vessel. I mean, there's close to 100,000 kilometers of blood vessel. It doesn't matter how smart your microbot is, everything looks the same. So they need a GPS system.
The GPS system that Sylvain talks about is nothing short of ingenious because you can find it at your local hospital.
This is a MRI room. As you can see, it looks exactly like a typical MRI platform that we can find in most hospitals in the world.
Well, an MRI machine is a giant magnet that creates three-dimensional images for doctors to see inside your body. So these guys are saying, hey, why can't I use that piece of hardware to magnetically steer and drive and move a microbot? But there was one catch. Nobody believed it was possible.
All those people that told me that it's crazy ideas, it's science fiction, it's not going to work, it came so close that it could maybe be killed. And after 2 years, I was start getting a bit kind of depressed, right?
So for 2 years, people thought you were crazy.
Yeah, right. It didn't
That's a
even move.
good sign, by the
Yeah,
way.
right.
It means it's a big idea that worked. Tests proved that the MRI could, in fact, be used to exert forces on his microbots and accurately guide them through the arteries. But then Sylvain hit another roadblock. Think of our circulatory system as a series of streets. Our arteries are like the wide avenues, while our capillaries are like the tiniest of side streets. Sylvain's microbots are too large to drive down those side streets.
It's too big to go in small blood vessels, and we're not going to get to the tumor. Then I start thinking about a backup plan. I said, what we need to have is a small sphere with a motor then. And automatically, I talk about the bacteria.
Like Brad in Zurich, Sylvain saw that bacteria are perfectly designed for moving through these small blood vessels. Unlike Brad, he didn't want to build a microbot that mimicked bacteria. He wanted to get the real bacteria to go where he wanted them to go. But how? He found his answer online.
It's like 10, 11 o'clock on the Friday night. And then I go to my computer and, do search on the internet. I came across what they call magnetotoxic bacteria. I said, wow, bingo.
He has found bacteria that are attracted to a magnetic field.
These bacteria, inside them, they have a chain of magnets. Sort of looks like a string of beads. When they're in a magnetic field, this chain of magnets acts like a compass, and it turns the bacteria where they need to go. I was fascinated when I first heard about these bacteria that are able to follow a magnetic field. It was more shocking when I found out they're natural. There was no genetic engineering, nothing going on. These bacteria are found in almost all regions of the world in the wild. And they were only discovered in the late 60s, early 70s. Nobody knew anything about them beforehand. So, Dean, on the microscope, we have a slide with bacteria. Underneath the slide is an electromagnet that's gathering the bacteria all in one place, using the same principles that we use in the MRI.
So we're saying, here's a high magnetic field, and those bacteria are going to swim there under their own power because they like that high magnetic field. Is that sort of...
That's absolutely correct. We have a joystick attached to the computer that's controlling the magnetic field. So if you move the joystick, you can move the bacteria.
What I'm really now doing is I'm moving the carrot around, and just like in the cartoons, the mule that's always chasing the carrot, my carrot is really the magnetic field, and the mule here are all these millions and millions of little bacteria, and they're moving to follow wherever I put the point of the magnetic field.
That's exactly right.
You can see all of them gravitating. The whole flow is moving. That's very impressive. It's beautiful. Very obedient bacteria. To put all the links of this chain together, you have to use the imaging technology, but we can check the box. That works. We find the tumor.
Yep.
Then you have to build your microbot that can be pulled by the same device, the MRI, as close as it can get to the tumor. Check the box. You've done that. Then, when it can't get any further, it releases these bacteria that have the capability to propel themselves, being steered, once again, by a magnetic field created by the MRI, and steer those bacteria that are carrying the drug on them to get to the tumor. The plan is to take the bacteria loaded with cancer-killing drugs and put them into polymer microcarriers. These carriers, guided by the MRI, will swim through the arteries until they can go no further. Once blocked, they release the bacteria, which are drawn by the magnetic field towards the tumor. There, they converge and die, releasing drugs that destroy that tumor. Based on your experience, to deliver a realistic way to use these nanobots and these bacteria to treat cancers, how long will it take before we can do that?
I hope that we'll be able to do this in a matter of years.
Years as opposed to decades.
As opposed to decades. Being able to help someone with a deadly disease is something that keeps you going. On those hard days when it's hard to realize why you're putting in long hours, it's something to think about. I certainly hope that this can change everything in the field of medical robotics and cancer treatment.
The whole